what do you think is the most important component in being of service or value to another? It's timing. If you're going to be of any value to anyone, you've got to catch them when they're in the receptive mode. But more important, you've got to be in the receptive mode. So you don't have to wait until your knee feels better before you're in the receptive mode. And in fact, being in the receptive mode will serve both of those purposes. It will help you to be of value to them, and it will help your knee too.
Right.
Esther was discussing with a friend on the telephone a few weeks ago. He was talking about wanting to find perfect gifts for people. And so they got off on the subject of giving and receiving, or givers and takers, or what receiving really is, or what giving really is. And then because of the nature of their long conversation, we began discussing it with groups following that. And we want to start in this place. Step 1 is you ask. Step 2 is source answers. And step 3 is you've got to be in the receiving mode. So how is it that source answers? In other words, you heard some stories today of different things. The man was receiving letters and different things happened. And we told the story of Esther meeting with her new rapper friend and so forth. So where does the answer come from, and how does the receiver receive the answer? In other words, doesn't it most often come through someone else who is being of service? Step 1 is you ask. Step 2 is source answers. Step 3 is you got to receive. So where does somebody else fit into that? If all you got to do is ask and source is always going to answer and you're going to get what you, then does there need to ever be anybody else of service to help you receive what you're asking for? Are you with us on this? If everyone is an extension of source energy and everyone has access to what source energy is offering, then how would anybody else play into the equation? Well, you play into the equation all day, every day, because sometimes you're in the receiving mode for something that somebody else is asking for. And because you're in the receiving mode, your timing is perfect, so that you rendezvous at the perfect time, so that as they ask and as you receive on their behalf, provided they are in the receiving mode, then you get to be part of the dance. Did you follow that? Ooh. So you can't be of service unless you are in the receiving mode. And when you're in the receiving mode, then your timing is great. So then there's just this give and take all day, every day. You're just dancing with one another as people upon the planet. Some are asking, some are receiving, some aren't in the receiving mode. Others are in the receiving mode that are getting ready to even be more in the receiving mode. In other words, you just can't get it wrong. Can you see how the answer to both of your questions is the same thing? You just got to find some way of stopping any conversation in your own mind that is responsible for the resistance that is keeping you from doing the two things you just said you want to do. Feel better in your knee and be of value to others. Mm-hmm. Because what it sounded like you were saying is, I'll take care of this physical thing first, and once I do that, then I'll be of service to others. Isn't it nice how the universe is giving it all to you at once? All the things you want are all wrapped up in you just getting tuned in, tapped in, turned on. And then everything that you want, your value to others, might even be of service for you to have a knee that hurts and then have a knee that stops hurting.
It's interesting.
Without having to chop your leg off and get a new one.
Yes, that's true. Can I ask another thing?
Of course.
Okay. The other thing that I've wondered about is the ascended masters, of, like Jesus or Buddha and some of the other people that,
Or you. The room is full of them.
Yes. Yeah.
Just people in the receiving mode who understood what the receiving mode felt like and meant to be there and often were.
But are they still there to help us if we want them? To help them?
All of them.
All of them.
All of them.
Okay.
But that's what we were saying. The broadcast is happening. The revelation is happening. So the only reason that anyone would think maybe the revelation isn't happening is that you're not tuned in, so you're not receiving it. So then you say, hey, where'd everybody go?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, no one has brought this up yet, but as far as the president that we have today, and that in terms of I could, but I don't. I can see that his ability to have the law of attraction works for him in ways that he has learned to develop that, even though my perception can be that it isn't right, that it may be wrong. But I also feel deep down, as I know from my, what I would call maybe my God self, that everything is changing and moving.
Well, what all of the ascended masters would say to you simultaneously in one voice is,
oh God, here it comes.
things are always working out for all of you. And that often in the midst of something that feels unsettling to a lot of you, that there is a stronger asking and therefore a stronger answering. You just can't get it wrong and you never get it done. And so why would any of you use anything as your reason to pinch yourself off for a moment from all of the new asking that has recently been stirred within you?
Okay, so this leads me to ask you about when I'm sleeping and I feel like that I wake up in the middle of the night with fears, but they're not my fears. But even though there's not a separation.
Well, they are your fears because there's no one else fearing through you.
That's very good, thank you.
There's no assertion, there's only attraction. And so when you wake up in fear, that means that you've got that ball rolling pretty good. And when you wake up, you're just stepping back into that vibration, that's all.
Okay, so you're saying I'm having that in my waking hours before I go to sleep.
Absolutely.
Those fears are in there.
Absolutely, because if they weren't there, the momentum of them couldn't carry over into your just waking up and feeling them. It's like, so you're asleep and you reemerge into non-physical and you really do resonate with your source energy. But when you come back into your consciousness, there is a habit that you all have, and it's sort of a good thing. It's the difference between whether they pronounce you alive in the morning or dead. But when you come back into your consciousness, you're so good at your observation of your nowness, of your realness, of this physical, tangible world, that you usually in one fell swoop just pick up right where you left off. And that's the reason that a meditation is so beneficial, because when you meditate, you are active and involved and awake as your vibration is shifting. So your vibration is where you last left it. So meditation is so helpful in helping you to leave your vibration in a different point of attraction. And in time, you not only will not wake up feeling fear, you'll wake up feeling enthusiasm and eagerness and a newfound energy, a new aliveness.
Okay. Well, are there spirits that need help? There's a mind thought out there, mindset that there's spirits that, need help, things like that.
Here's why people misunderstand that. When you make your transition into non-physical, you leave behind all of this physical stuff, all of this physical doubt and fear, all resistance. And you reemerge into the fullness of who your inner being is and what's in your vortex and what you know to be. But while you are all in your physical bodies, every thought that you ever think still exists. And law of attraction is managing those thoughts too. So they are what you might call rivers or streams of consciousness from the spin-off of man's conscious thought. And if you tap into some of that, you can get a stronger dose of something than you think you're capable of thinking. In other words, if you get fearful and you allow the momentum of that fearful thought to become large enough, you can tap into a really strong fearful thought that is much more than just your own life experience has allowed you to find, because you tap into the similarities of the vibrations of others that are doing the same thing. Does that make sense to you?
It does, but if I'm not in fear, I had a meditation before and when I was at a retreat and I was shifted back to my home, bilocated, and I was standing there and I was watching my brother who's deceased guiding beings, spirits, people that have passed on into my home. And next thing I know, I'm on my landing on my stairs and I'm watching them as they're going up the stairs. And then I'm watching them go down the hallway into my room, and they're like around my room, my bed. And I had all kinds of flood of people telling me, oh, you've got a medicine Buddha and you've got Kuan Yin at the end and you've created this healing space for beings, spirits that
But we think that what you were translating visually is the cooperative components. In other words, you're asking about the ascended masters and you're translating them into something that's tangible for you.
But what were those? Were they real spirits? Were they real people that were stuck trying to get home? Or were they just reincarnations of me? Or, you see, it's...
First, we want to say, no one's stuck. No one's stuck. When you make your transition, you are not stuck. The only stuckness is while you're still in your physical body thinking stuckful thoughts. And then needing to justify them or explain them. When you get into your state of alignment and you feel the wholeness of who you are, you don't feel those things and you don't have those kinds of thoughts.
What was the people going down my hallway?
It's your hallway. You invited them.
Yeah, I don't...
You're the creator of your own reality and you're the creator of your own dreams. From the conversation that we had just now, you want to be of service. And from the framework in which you were playing that out, in order to be of service, there needs to be someone who needs serviced. And so, since you want to be of service, then you have to create those who need service.
So all of it is my own, okay.
And we're not saying for a moment that you aren't of great service and that you won't be of more service. We just want you to get it into the context of what that service is. People are not going to line up in your hallway in a lost way and wait for you to lead them to something, because when they're feeling that way, you can't lead them anyway. They've got to be ready to be ready to be ready to be ready. So law of attraction and your inner being and their inner being are providing these rendezvous, these opportunities for you to come together in perfect, what you might want to call divine timing. And if you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and they're somewhere in the vicinity, then when you have that rendezvous, that kind of a vision that more accurately depicts what we were talking about would be you just moving through life and rendezvousing with someone, and you're inspired to say something that's meaningful to them, and then they just go on their way. The thing that people who want to be of service keep misunderstanding is that you want to be of service forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Esther will probably never meet her rapper friend again. That was the moment in time, and that served its purpose. And he got from her exactly what he was coming for. And she got the glorious couple of hours that she was looking for. And that was enough for that rendezvous. She didn't take his address. She's not going to become his best friend. They're not going to rap together. It was a moment in time that the universe provided that feels random but isn't, that is meaningful. And that's how you are of service to one another in the most glorious way. You're letting law of attraction pick the timing of it. But you can improve your degree of service or the number of serviceful opportunities that you have by just making sure that you're more ready to be ready to be ready to be ready. So as you move through life playful and happy and feeling good and tuned in, tapped in, turned on, so you're in the receiving mode, then you can be, and this isn't a word that you like, but it's the best word that applies, you can be utilized to be the step 2 phase for someone who's asking for something. A few years ago, we were talking a lot about birds and how often they are the messenger that brings you something that you are looking for. And the reason that the birds are so valuable in helping you to feel something in a moment of time, first of all, because there are a lot of them around, and next, because they're almost without exception tuned in, tapped in, turned on. And so when you're in the receiving mode, there's always a bird around who can punctuate that, you see.
And that happened to me.
If you want it to be something like an abominable snowman to punctuate it, it's sparser. And so imagine, here you are like flocks of birds, tuned in, tapped in, turned on, happy with life, satisfied where you are, eager for more, moving through your days, not only in the receptive mode of wonderful things flowing to you, but in complete readiness and service for the smile or the word or the help that you could offer to someone else. Not running around looking for the needy. The needy are the hardest ones to help because they don't let it in. People really in need have a very difficult time letting it in.
Abraham, it's been a great day. This is like some of the best for me today. And I want to have this thrilling life experience. I don't want to just pay bills and go through the motions. I want to take it up a notch. And I know you want that for me as well. And I would say for the majority of the time, I do that. But
Is taking it up a notch, having more fantastic manifestations, we just want to get a sense of what you mean, or is taking it up a notch consciously dovetailing with source so that every moment is one of deliberate dance or deliberate cooperative components? Does it feel to you that you're thinking more about things, or are you thinking more about how the experiences feel?
I want to go and feel. I want that, more of that connection. And I seem to have it, but I want it more. And I wonder if I'm trying too hard sometimes. I want to experience more. I want to do more. I want to have more fun.
Does it seem logical? Does it feel to you like you now know that the emphasis is on focusing rather than doing?
Yes.
And does it seem logical to you that the focus will lead to action, but it's not the action you're looking for, it's the focus?
Yes. I'll have to say, though, that to couch that, I sometimes will say, whoops, I need to be more responsible. I'll catch myself in that. I could be with my granddaughters at the park and hours have gone by and it's like, oh, I probably had to do a little work today. Or I get up in the morning and instead of going to work or starting to work, I'll say, let's go to the ocean. And I catch myself saying, maybe I'm a little irresponsible. And
there's a lot of programming or believing that has been taking place. This is not a conversation about no action. It's a conversation about thoughtful, inspired action. And so you have to find that balance. For example, let's say that you've been really after it. You've been being really responsible, diligent in the way that humans are. And so you're not going to the well of resources as much. You're finding yourself feeling depleted. And so you decide that you will take a day and just do something that feels good just to you. So you feel the relief of that depletion. So then let's say you're at the beach. Let's say in this example that you're even by yourself. So you're at the beach, you're by yourself, you relax a little bit, and then thoughts begin to flow to you. And you feel good. The thoughts that are coming are just flowing easily into your mind. They feel good when you think them. You don't really feel like jumping right up and putting anything to action right now, although you can imagine yourself doing that. And so under these conditions, you're really in balance. Your contrast caused you to want something different. You went and you followed the inspiration and found something different, and you are now more in vibrational balance in your ease and relief on the beach than you were when you were pushing so hard and feeling depleted. In other words, the beach is replenishing you. But now let's say that you're lying there and you're actually thinking thoughts about what you should do, and you're resisting those thoughts. I should be doing this, but I don't want to do it. I should be doing this, but I'm tired. Well, now your beach replenishment is over, because now you're using your mind to split your energy again. So you might as well be at work depleting yourself than on the beach worried about. And so it isn't about the action, it's about how you feel. You could be at work doing something that you really enjoy doing, so tuned in and tapped in and turned on that the ideas are flowing. You could be as replenished at work as you are on the beach. You could be on the beach so bored and feeling uncomfortable about what you're not doing that you're getting no replenishment on the beach, even though you're offering no action. So it doesn't matter what you're doing, it only matters how you're feeling. And so what we would do if we were standing or lying on the beach in your physical bathing suit we would care about how we feel, and we'd keep doing whatever feels good until we feel a little edge to it, and then we'd figure out something else. In other words, just keep following the good feeling. Keep following the good feeling. Esther and Jerry would go to the beach in La Jolla, beautiful rocks. They loved to go and lay on those rocks, and they would put themselves out in the sun, and within about 10 minutes, Jerry's fingers were thumping on the rock because he was thinking of things that he wanted to get up and do. And Esther would say, "It's about over, isn't it?" because she knew that he only had so much of that he could stand. In other words, he wanted to follow through with the action of his mind that was moving. And so Esther would try to distract him. Oh, look over there. Oh, look over there. Look over there. But it wasn't very long before his desire to move forward was calling him to something else. So she'd see him sit up, and he'd take his notebook and he'd begin writing. And then before they knew it, they were off again. So it's a matter of finding what feels good and staying there as long as it feels good. Nothing's going to feel good very long, because you are responsive beings and you are being called. And so the thing that we really want to emphasize is, if you are so depleted that you need a day off, you're not thinking right when you're doing whatever it is that you're doing that's causing the depletion. You want to be replenishing yourself all day, every day. So often people think that creation is about finding some big thing, their lifelong dream about something, and then finding a way to making it happen, and that's what creation is. What creation is launching a rocket and lining up with it, and launching a rocket and lining up with it. What creation is really about, deliberate creation, is about the balance of energies. Because you could know nothing about any of this, and your life would be filling your vibrational reality full of all kinds of requests. And you could know nothing about this, and Source would be calling together all cooperative components for what you've asked for. You could know nothing about this, and your inner being could be standing there in the fulfillment of all that you are, offering you a vibrational frequency in relationship to what you're offering. You could know nothing about anything if the only thing you knew was that you want to feel good, and you had found out which thoughts feel better than others, and so you were gravitating to the best feeling thoughts. You would be a master of creation and never hear a word about law of attraction. And those around you, if they said, what's the secret to your success? You would say, I just follow the good feeling. I follow my bliss. I do what feels good. And most would criticize you and call you irresponsible, but they don't know how to tap into the leverage that creates worlds either, in most cases, you see. So you have to figure it out for yourself. You have to figure out what feels best. You have to figure out which thoughts take you down the rabbit hole, and which thoughts take you soaring with the eagles. You have to think, which thoughts feel the best to you? Which thoughts feel the worst to you? And then just guide yourself. And then you just get more and more discriminating, more and more picky about what feels good. Because thoughts that felt really good before aren't going to continue to be the ones that call you, because you are moving forward all the time. You are such an evolutionary, you are such an expanding being that you just can't stand still. Life won't let you stop expanding. So really what we talk about all day, every day, is about breaking loose of those habits that are holding you back from where you have naturally gone. That's really all that this is about, you see. And where you're naturally going isn't necessarily being satisfied at work. Often work is the means to which you create the income to really soar the way you want to. It doesn't need to be that way. You can soar in anything. Esther remembers as a child. Her sister remembers it differently, but of course Esther's right. It was the girls' job when they came home from school to get the house in order before their parents came home from work. And so they would make games of it. They would split the house in half. There were 3 of them, but only 2 at a time because of their age difference were doing this. So they would split the house in half, and they would make up a game. And the game was so fun that cleaning the house was irrelevant. In other words, the house cleaning wasn't what it was about. It was the game that they conjured that the house cleaning sort of dovetailed into. And to this day, Esther plays some of those games while she makes her bed and while she does different things. Just because it's fun. Just because it's fun. Esther says the game was the queen is coming and we must have the castle clean before the queen gets here. And Becky remembers Esther as being the queen. Esther doesn't remember it that way. Esther remembers an outside queen coming. Anyway, anything that it takes to make whatever you're doing fun, yes?
Thank you for the opportunity. I heard you say that if we want something and it's not coming, then we're not in alignment with it.
Well, let's talk about what it is, because it is wanted and absence of what is wanted. And so you're in alignment with it. Just which part of it are you in alignment with? The coming or the holding it away?
Yeah. Okay.
Yes? Every subject is 2 subjects. Wanted and absence of it.
So I feel blessed with a strong, healthy body, and I would like it to weigh about 35 pounds less. And I'm wondering if it's my lack of alignment with it being more trim, or am I letting the rascals in my life frustrate me, and that frustration is playing out in overeating?
Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, but the image that you hold is usually what is at the basis of anything. And this is a very easy example, especially as it regards your physical body. It usually has your attention. It has your attention. And so whatever has your attention has your active vibration. And so you would know how much less than positive emotion you feel toward it and how much positive emotion you feel toward it. In other words, it's just how much airtime you're giving it. And of course, it's a logical thing, isn't it, that when something is, and it's something that you see and you feel, that it's on your mind more. And so what you might do, Esther's been playing a game and she's having some success with it, where instead of thinking about what she's not going to eat, she's thinking about what she is going to eat. And there's something really nice about that. Also, eating for vitality, not for weight loss. Eating for vitality, eating for invigoration, eating for vitality is helping her to find some things that are more of a vibrational match. But each of you has to find what's in balance for you. You get what you think about, and what you are, where you stand in terms of bodily conditions, where you stand in terms of mental acuity, where you stand in terms of possessions or relationships. Every bit of every bit of every bit of every bit of it is because that's how you feel. In other words, you just cannot get around that. And so we wouldn't spend too much time trying to figure out the details of what I'm feeling. We would just focus on wanting to feel good on a myriad of subjects. And if you can get your attention off of that, how often have you or have you known someone who had some issues in their life? Maybe it was money, maybe it was a job that wasn't pleasing them, maybe it was something to do with their body, and then they fall in love. And now they're in love, everything just starts lining up for them. Stuff they're not even thinking about. What are you doing? Are you eating differently? No, I'm not doing anything. I'm just in love. I'm just using this new person as my excuse to be in alignment with everything that's in my vortex. And so it's helpful to find something in your world that is compelling enough to keep you in alignment, or a whole myriad of subjects that keep you in alignment. There are so many things that are pleasing, but you got to get your attention off what isn't working. Your attention on what you do not want will hold you in that place that you do not want. And your physical body will cooperate with your mood or attitude about it. In other words, people talk about metabolism and they talk about food and different food. We're surprised any of you can find anything to eat because there's something wrong with everything according to someone that you might be eating. And so most people walk through the grocery store in sort of personal terror. They pass the menu around and everyone sort of goes into shock as you're trying to find what's the right thing for you. And what we're wanting you to realize is that your body and the trillions of cells of your body are the first and foremost cooperative components to your mood, to the way you feel. And so you want to be in ease about all of that, not in self-disappointment or not in worry. You want to feel good, and then good things on all subjects come to you. We really like this particular subject because it is the best way of describing how the what is holding you from what you want. And we would like to say to you that what is past tense. And you say, no, it isn't. I just got off the scale. It's not past tense. It's present tense. I just got off the scale. It's present tense. No, it's past tense because it's the repercussion. It's the extension of something that has been set into motion a long time ago. It's old news. What's in the vortex is what's current. You want to line up with what's coming or with what's current or with what's past. This is not easy for humans to hear because you are reality oriented. You've got what is itis because what is feels so real to you. The only reason that what is remains as what is because of the attention upon what is. The only reason. So if you want it to be different, you've got to focus upon it differently. You've got to feel it differently. So you just have to find a way. You have to find a new approach for yourself. Just a thought, oh, that feels pretty good. A thought, that feels pretty good. thought, and talk to no one about it, because no one is as disciplined as you are about what you want. No one can feel the synthesization of the vibration between where you are and what's in your vortex. No one can feel that. And so anytime you involve someone else in it, they're going to add clutter to your trail. Every time, 100% of the time, every time. Sometimes you want encouragement from others. Encouragement from others is wonderful if they're really in that place where they really understand what's going on, but it's really rare to find someone like that. And it's conditional anyway. Now it's depending on somebody outside of you, and then you got to be tied to them all the time. Got to be talking to them and checking in with them, and you become dependent. We want you to be connected to who you really are.